Page 30, Mexican hat dance. I have the other name there. I'm not going to try that, but you can. I don't speak Spanish, so I have to skip that. No sharps or flats on this. We're in the key of C major. Make sure you can do the C major scale up and down, at least one octave. Not going to stay in C major, but we're in there now. 6/8 time. So we're counting to 6. And we're counting eighth notes. So all of these eighth notes all over everywhere, well, they get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So let's just take it slow and easy. We're moving around pretty good. Right hand first. We're coming in on beat 5. 5, 6. Remember, an eighth note gets a count. So it's, you're up here. F sharp. 5, 6. 1. D sharp. Then come across 2. And stay there. Here, we already moved around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, red. During the rest, come down. It's just a scale going up. You're saying, what scale is that? Well, it's like a C major scale because you're using all the white keys. And if you can do the C major scale, this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That movement that you use in the scale, it doesn't matter what it is, it's the same feeling. You're just using different keys. So it's, you're just starting on an E and you're going up to an F. 1, then come back down. This is similar to the beginning, but you're starting on an F rather than a G. Reach up. Fourth finger now, because we need the little finger for the A that's coming up. Yep. Going on, second line. They want fourth finger. This way you're in position for everything. I can make suggestions on these repeated notes, but let's just go on now. I mean, you can use different fingers on them. I can go a 1, 2, 1. And again a 3, 3. Not everybody likes the idea of using different fingers on repeated notes, is what I'm saying. It kind of depends on your teacher. I like it, especially when it goes fast. This is a fairly fast piece. I can stay more relaxed if I'm using different fingers, rather than the same finger always. But it takes time to learn that. So you may not want to bother with it just yet. You will need to learn it eventually. So the fingering you use on these lines here on the second, third line, or on the fourth line too, page 31 is up to you. And that tied note, I hope you understand that. Let's go to the last measure of the second line here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you're just holding it down for 3 counts is all. It's the same rhythm pretty much for the next line or two. Now at the beginning of the second line, they introduce a sharp in the key signature. So now we're in the key of G major. Make sure you can do the G major scale 1 octave up and down. And while I'm here, at the bottom of the page, at the very end of the line, you'll see the 2 natural signs. That's telling you that sharps are going away, you're going back into C major for whatever. Okay, we can do that. On page 32, now we're in 1 flat. Now we're in the key of F major. So make sure you can do the scale for F major 1 octave up and down. And the time signature changed. So now we're in 4/4. So we were in 6/8, we're counting eighth notes, but now we're in 4/4, we're counting quarter notes, and there's only 4 of them. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and And fingering wise, you can use third finger if you want. But I like to use a 3 and then a 3, 1, 3, and then a 3, 1. So I'm playing the 2 eighth notes with 3, 1 is all. 3, 1, 3, 1, You don't have to. I mean, there's other fingerings you can try. This is easier for me, and that's what I do. Third line down, well, at the end of the second line, you'll notice the natural signs again. The flats are going away. Now we're going back into the key of C major. It's like we don't know where we want to go. But then it's just corner notes. Well, that's nice for a while. And then at the end of the third line, you see the flat signs. We're going back into the key of F major. They don't know what they want, do they? So anyway, at the fourth line then, you're up here. And you're not up here because you're in F major. You're up here because you need to be here to play the notes in the music. That's what. The last line is the same notes as the fourth line, except it has an 8 VA across them. Therefore, we're going to go up an octave here. And they want you to go. I don't agree with this. This is the third and fourth measure at the last line on page 32. Here, and then they want you to go up here. No, I can't go here. That has to be an error. That really has to be an error. I would suggest you do this. Start the line out, okay, here. But in this case, instead of 5, reach up and use third finger on that. So you're using 3-1-3-1. Now you're in position for the 2. And then an AF up here, and then the 8 VA goes away, so the last chord is here with a fermato. So hang on to it. That's what I recommend. For the left hand, it's just broken chords, which is fine because you got enough to think about in the right hand. Just broken. Second line, you get the 5-7 chord. Okay. Page 31, second line, we're in G major, and we're going to start out with the 5-7 chord in G major. Now, page 32, F major. Just one chord and a 5-7 chord. And third line down, back in C major. Block chords, and this nice. So we're having fun now. Last line on page 32, that 8 VA only applies to the top staff. So the left hand's staying right where it is. Slowly. Get the idea? I don't really feel I have to play it for you. By the time you reach this level, you should be able to play this yourself. Anyway, you go through and make sure you can play both hands together. You go nice and slow if you have to, but you need to go through and get rid of any hesitations you have. This is a dance. That's the key word, dance. People are moving to this, so you can't be hesitating or messing up the rhythm. It's got to be a steady beat. How fast you go depends on how fast you can play and how much wine I've had to drink and so forth. We won't get into that. It's got to be a steady beat. That's what's important. Then we can add the articulation. Well, at the beginning, they don't give you any articulation. There's nothing. I do a chuck 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 and I connect the first 2 notes and then staccato here. So forth. And the right hand I'm connecting it all. So forth. And I do that pretty much all the way through pages 31 and 30 or 30 and 31. Same articulation. And on page 32 they give you a few staccatos here. Right there. Don't accent it. It's not accented because typically when we push off like that, we'll tend to accent it. Don't. Just make it short. Third line down, you get accents on these. Now, there's a way of interpreting accents that some people will use. I use it sometimes, not all the time. Because on a piano, all you can do with an accent is play a little louder. you can separate the notes slightly, and that helps to kind of bring it out. Not short staccato, just long staccato. That's interpretation, and that's up to you if you do that or not. Since the line is repeated, maybe the first time you play it one way, and when you repeat it, change it. We don't want to play the repeated section twice the same way, except this really isn't a repeated section. They're saving space by repeating the line. The line should be printed out twice. So it's a little bit different. So when I say when you repeat something, you try and change it, you play it different. Well, sometimes the way the music is printed, it's repeated out of convenience of the printing, not because the piece really is repeated. So it's a little misleading here. I suggest maybe you separate the notes just a little, so everything isn't always connected. And then the last line, it's staccato. And then accents on the last two. Yeah, whatever. For the dynamics, really for the most part, there's suggestions in this. You're going to start out loud, whatever that is. Keep the left hand in the background, and it wants you to come down. Maybe down to, wouldn't come down much, maybe to a moderately loud. Just come down a little bit. And then go back up. And then down again. And then up again. Right there. Up to there and then down. Right there. Then second line on page 31. The first time you play this, it's moderately loud. And you're going to crescendo up to loud at the bottom. Then when you repeat it, now you're going to play it soft. And all the time you're doing this, left hand is in the background. We want to hear the right hand. You don't have to play the whole thing at one level. You can get a little louder and softer after you get to know the piece and you get into it and you start feeling it. You can crescendo and diminuendo in places, but stay in that area of where it says. Then on page 32, loud. And the third line is going to be very loud because of the accents. Try and play the right hand a little louder than the left. And you're going to stay loud then for the rest of the piece, and at the end, you hear, go up to very loud. As far as the speed goes, it depends on how fast you can be accurate. So you'll have to decide on it, but don't play parts of it fast and other parts of it slow because you can't play them. You got to learn to play the whole thing pretty much at one speed until you get to page 32, where it tells you to start speeding up gradually. Gradually speeding up like you're starting to roll downhill. Good luck with that. So careful there. It's got to be accurate. Don't go faster than that. Now, as far as the roadmap goes, of when you go where and what, because this is a little tricky the way they've written this. You see the repeat sign at the end of the first line on page 31. That means you're going to repeat back to the beginning because there is no reverse repeat sign, so you go to the beginning and do all of that again. Then on second line on page 31, there's a reverse repeat sign. At the bottom, there's a repeat sign. So when you get to the bottom of page 31, you're going to repeat back and do those last three lines on page 31 again. You're going to repeat them. Then there's a note at the bottom of page 31 to DC Al sign, then next page. Well, that's fun. What DC means go back to the beginning. And the sign they're referring to is the top of page 31 at the end of the first line. You see the circle and the crosshairs? Okay. So when you finish page 31, after you've repeated it, you go back to the beginning and you play that again, and the first line of 31 again. You don't need to repeat it again. You can if you want to, I guess. You don't need to. And then when you get to the end of that line on page 31, immediately go to page 32 and just keep going. Then it ends at the bottom of page 32. Now you have a page turn in there. So you got to go from 31 to 32, you're here. And trying to turn the page, well, you only have a couple beats rest and they're gone real quick. So you don't really have time. So what you have to do in this case, unfortunately, unless you can get somebody to turn the page for you or you just memorize page 32, is you're going to have to leave out notes. And you can't leave out melody notes. You need those. So you got to leave out notes in the other. What I suggest maybe you try, if you can turn the page quickly, is on page 31, the last measure, the first line here. Play the first note in the left hand and then quickly turn the page while you're holding it down here. Turn the page right quick. Because when you start on page 32, you really need both hands there. And that's the best. So you're leaving out these notes. Well, you play the first note so you can hear the harmony. You want that. And then you can turn the page real quick is what I'm suggesting you might try. Now at the top of page 32, we'll look out. There's a sign up there to begin very slowly, and then you go faster and faster and faster. You see, typically when you have a change in time signatures, there has to be something common between them that you can connect together, something that is constant. And normally we'd think, okay, in this piece it would probably be the eighth notes, because you're doing that 1, 2, 3, 1. Here I can do 1 and 2 and 3. That keeps the eighth note constant. But there's a note at the beginning that blows all that away. Just forget that. They say start very slowly, and you're gradually going to speed up throughout the page like a runaway train. Well, you have to be accurate. So don't know about dancing to it, but that's what they're saying to do. And then I would like take it maybe a phrase or two at a time at the same speed, like the first line at that speed. The second line maybe you speed up just a hair, and then the third line speed up some more, and you're going to repeat the third lines. You second time play a little faster. Then the fourth line, speed up some more. And the last line, speed up some more. So forth. That's my suggestion. Experiment with it, because you don't want to get going too fast too soon. So you have to take it maybe, I think I took it like a line at a time. And sped it up for each line or so, just a hair, not much. I like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I don't know that I need to, but I've done it throughout the book, so I'll go ahead and do it here. So I'm going to give us 4 counts. I'm not going to do any of the dynamics, but I am going to do the articulation. There isn't any, so that's easy. We're going to do all the repeats and all that. Now I'm going to do pages 30 and 31, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn the page, then I'm going to do page 32. I'll count in again and do page 32, but I need to take it all at the same speed. So at the beginning, the metronome's beating eighth notes here. And when I get to page 32, it's beating quarter notes. That way. So I'm kind of taking page 32 twice as fast as 31 and 30 and so forth. Yeah, you'll figure it out. I'll give us 4 counts. Let's try this together. 1, 2, ready, go. Stop and turn the page. I'm going to skip the first 2 rests. Now we're coming right in with the notes on beat 1. The metronome's beating quarter notes here. So I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. 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 Repeat. Rest. Rest.